tiempo.
So here we are, another rainy weekend. I'm getting ready to start putting together the bottom half of the block. I still haven't gotten my head gasket in yet, so that's gonna probably be about another week till I can get that. But the bottom end of the half is ready to go. I can get the pistons in, get all the clearances set today. It's gonna be a little time consuming, but I can get that bottom section done. I can start working on my head, getting that put together. So I'll record it best I can. This isn't a how-to, just kind of showing what's going on with my build. I'm still learning, so it's the first time building my own block. I am gonna have a buddy who's experienced in this kind of stuff to come down and give me a hand, just some pointers. But yeah, we're just here to have some fun and put this block together, and we'll see what happens. So I'm ready to start putting the bearings in, get that crank set in here, dry fitting everything. I'm gonna use the plastic gauge, and we're gonna check our clearance on the bearings. So I just wiped that all down. Well, before I sprayed everything with brake parts cleaner, dried this thing completely off with air, and then of course I oiled my cylinder walls just because it's really fresh and I don't want any rust or corrosion to start happening on there. You probably don't have to, but it's gonna get oiled eventually, so I just went ahead and did it now. These are 100% dry right now, clean of oil. Same goes for these, and I'm gonna be sticking the bearings in dry and getting that plastic gauge on there and torquing it all down to specs and checking my clearance. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. As you guys can see, I got that plastic gauge laid out there on the top. It was kind of a pain. I had a couple pieces blow away, so just keep that in mind. Now we're gonna set the girdle on it and get it torqued down. So I've got all these torqued down. Torque specs were 22 pounds for the main bolts and 16 pounds for the outside, plus a what was it, a 60-degree turn. I forgot already, but it's in here. I'm just on the internet here getting torque specs. Anyways, it's all torque to spec. Right now I'm going to break it apart, and we are going to be checking our clearances on that plastic gauge. So the clearance ended up being perfect, right in between. I guess it might be hard to see at this angle, but it's right in between 20 thousandths and 15 thousandths. So we're good. Gonna get all this cleaned off with some brake parts cleaner, and start getting it assembled for good. So the bearings on the girdle were a lot harder to clean off for some reason, but I used a plastic scraper with a rag and some starting fluid. As you guys saw me, I'm kind of using this for force and prying it back and forth, and it seemed to have done the job. Gonna get all these washed down with starting fluid, not starting fluid, brake parts cleaner, my bad. Gonna get everything cleaned off again, make sure there's no oil residue on both of the surfaces. Then we can start adding some assembly lube on the bearings and a little bit on that crankshaft, and start putting it together. Let me get this closer. So I'm gonna be putting the thrust washers. They go right here, and I went with ACL. I also went with ACL bearings. I don't know if I showed you guys before. The OEM ones. Here's the original ones compared to these. You can see there's definitely wear on there. And the flat surface is what goes against the block, and the oil passages stick out. I'm gonna have to wash the surface down one more time because this assembly lube's getting everywhere. It's sticky. It's good stuff. It does its job. Yeah, it is everywhere. Stuff's getting all stringy everywhere. got them all nice and lubed up. That thrust washer sitting there. And with this stuff, you're gonna have to use assembly lube. Just because it's so tacky, and I don't think regular oil is gonna hold that thing down. And assembly lube ain't really that expensive. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to that girdle, get the surfaces cleaned off. Well, throw the crank on, make sure it's on there nice and pretty. Everything's where it should be, and then get the surfaces washed off and start siliconing this and put it on, and then we'll get it set in place and make sure that crank spins and there's nothing catching it or anything. So if you're like me and you like taking stuff off and putting it back on a million times, then definitely forget to install your oil jets. If you don't, then you probably should remember to do that. It's pretty tight and kind of hard to get to. Probably gonna have to just disassemble this again and get it all cleaned off and repeat the process. But this time install the oil jets. So I'll get back to you guys once that's all done. Well, I got those oil jets installed, and I was actually able to do it without taking the block apart. I had to take my watch off so I wouldn't damage the sidewalls, but I was able to get my hand up through the cylinder right here. You guys can see, no you guys can't. Right there, there's barely any room, but I was able to guide the oil jet on, and in order, I don't even have to be explaining this how to do it. I mean, I'd imagine whoever does this is not going to forget to do this, but if you do, this is probably not the right way to do it, but I did it without taking it apart. I taped the bolt with electrical tape just enough to hold it so it wouldn't be falling when you guide this in. I tried a magnet, and it's a pretty strong magnet, but it kept getting stuck to the crankshaft, so that was a no. Anyways, the tape worked just great. I set that oil jet from the bottom and got this started from up top, and once I got it secure in there, I just pulled the socket out. I had to kind of nudge on it from the bottom, took the electrical tape off, and then torqued those down. So they are in. So obviously the next step, I believe, is to install the pistons. And right now I am working on getting the ring gap figured out, and I am not that good with numbers. I mean, they give you everything you need here. But still trying to figure that out. I'm gonna have to talk to a professional. I really don't want to screw this up. And another thing, I ordered a piston ring filer. I think that's what it's called. So that should be here in a few days. So besides getting the ring gaps all figured out, I can't really do them today. And I don't want to. And I know old school people would use a regular file, which I don't want to do. So I'm gonna wait for that tool to get here, and in the meantime I can figure out the gaps I need, and be good to go from there. I could start working on my head right now, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Start getting that put back together. But that'll be another video. I'll go ahead and upload this. I know I've been slacking on my videos. I have a whole bunch recorded of me doing my own port and polish on the head, the manifold, but I have not uploaded any of that. I've been pretty busy with work and whatnot. So I'll try to work on that. I am using the OEM valves, and I had them glass bead blasted. So they should work. They're all straight. So I'll get back to you guys with another video of putting that head together.
Every single day